Yeah, but the skiing there that you guys have is different than the ice that we have here. So let's call what it is. Hey, the river froze here. I put that out the other day. And by the way, Cam, I got to tell you, I don't want to hear anybody doesn't learn anything on here. If anybody doesn't, if you're not listening, hold on, hit record. Is record on? We got
the record's on. You're recording.
All right. So here's the deal. I think it was 2 weeks ago. We talked about the Opus clips and stuff like that. You're never going to learn anything from these things, everybody, if you don't do it. If you don't get in there and try it. In 2 weeks, I have learned this new Opus, and Cam, you gave us a price of $15. It's $9.50, I think, a month. So if I can get in there, I can get it to work. My VAs are doing it. It is brainless. And now they got the new AI upgrade to it, which is part of it. I've learned more in 2 weeks doing this. And you and I said, Cam, it's not a matter of all the things you said. It's a matter of how many times you're out there. And it should be 5 to 6 times a day. So I took that to heart. And guess what? In 1 week, my following has gone up. My interaction has gone up 145% in 1 week. Doing just double the posts, not even at the 5 or 6 that you're doing. And you're right. It's not about the content. It's making it short, having them see you, having them click it, make it entertainable, and use the trending music. Even though you have it turned down, it still comes up in a high rating because you're using the #1 trading music. You might have some of this trending music that has all these curses in it. So what? Turn it down. You can't hear it, but it still shows in the algorithm. So again, the things that we've always talked about, push the dang button, Bert. Get out of your own damn judgment and curiosity. Gee.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad it's working.
I'm having so much fun with that.
All this stuff works. Every week, we go through stuff and it's like, well, there you go. They got your camera. You got everything. Yep.
I got to tell you something.
We're going through stuff. And if you use it, go ahead, Craig, take it.
No. What you also, something Cam and I were talking about was this thing, okay? I just started the radio show. We actually found a way. The radio people didn't even know how to do this. I called my production guy. We can take this, set it up. And yes, I figured it out. I learned to hit the button and it follows me when I'm moving. I stand up when I'm at the radio show and you'll start seeing those clips. Then this is the wireless mic. I was like, how do I get this to this and not reverberate? They're like, no. My other production guy said we plugged the wireless into their motherboard. And now as I talk through their mic, it goes through here and feeds onto this. So it's the radio clarity that's there. Stop making excuses, everybody. If the ROG, the old guy, has no freaking idea what to do, you guys can do this. Sorry, on a tangent. But Cam started this 2 weeks ago, and it got out of control. It was a snowball. I started hanging out with Lawson out there, and Cam was throwing me ideas and went, woof, came and took out a small city. So, sorry, stop making excuses. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, I want to say, all of this stuff works, but I also want to say none of it works. Absolutely, positively, none of the stuff that you're learning on this call every Thursday works, period, unless you do it. Right?
Very true. Hey,
I'm going to add something to
hey,
Matt.
Lurch, what's the name of that thing you have? What's the name of the thing that follows you?
It's the DJI. It's the one I bought, the one with everything. I think it was like $800 with everything in it. It's got the stand. Yeah. It's got everything. It's got the microphone. It was really good. I saw it. You know who had it? Was one of the guys when we were in Miami. He pulled it out on stage and he used it, the video it. It goes right onto your phone, and then you can download it, and then it goes right into your Venimo or whatever, the Venimo thingy, or you can put it right in your Google Docs, then put it into the Opus cuts, then pull it out. It already has all the other stuff in it, and then you can actually add pictures in it through the AI. It is. My VAs love it, and it's only been 2 weeks. So
I'm
the Vimeo. Give you a kudos. Now I'm going to give you a kudos, Matty. That again, I listened to you. We were talking about what, RMI last week, 2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. Your marketing that does the brochures, you do it and David does it?
Yeah, real estate marketing. Yeah.
Okay. 1 o'clock today, East Coast time, or 2 o'clock today, I'm talking to the rep that deals with you. Because I said, hey, I got to do what we're preaching. And I can't do, if nobody else is doing it, I got to prove that it works. Sorry, everybody went on a tangent about learning things here.
Make sure you tell him Maddie sent you. All right.
I am. Trust me. I'm going to tell Maddie. I'm going to tell David. I'm going to throw you under the bus. I need all the discounts I can get.
Since we're on the topic, here's another good one that I use, by the way. There's an app, a free app. If you can see, it's the teleprompter app right there. You see on my phone, teleprompter. Anyway, you can dictate or type in scripts on your phone, and then as you're filming yourself from your phone, right, you can be reading off a teleprompter, a scrolling teleprompter on your phone, and it's a free app. It's ridiculous. So I use that for when I shoot little YouTube ads or YouTube videos or whatever.
What's that app again?
If they're scripted.
That app?
It's just,
Maddie,
it's just called teleprompter. It looks like, here, hold on. I think it's just called teleprompter. And so you can see when I open it up, I've got all different scripts in there. And if I tap on any of them, like here's a YouTube ad. I don't know if you can see that, but it's all scrolling. It's got the camera on. But anyway, it's cool because, you don't have to, if you're going to do a long, even a few minute long video that's not just off the top of your head and you've written a script for it, you can type the script right into that app and then you set the size of the font. Like I set my font size at 40 because the camera is only, 2 feet away from me.
Yeah.
And well, that's just, and anyway, and then the speed at which it scrolls, right? And you have to kind of experiment with it because if it goes too fast, then you can't keep up. And if it's too slow, you get ahead of it. But anyway, it's a really, we used to have to rent teleprompters when we would shoot videos, and it was a real pain. And now you can just do it from your phone, and it's a free app. So I think it's called teleprompter.
To piggyback off that, Matt, there's also an app that will correct your eyes. So if you were like looking over here and reading, it will actually correct your eyes and make it look like you're looking at the camera the entire time. I just used that app, I don't know, a week or two ago to shoot one video. Similarly, Matt, I was reading the teleprompter, and it's weird, but it works.
What's the name of that app, Jerry?
Captions.
Oh, Captions.
Oh, Captions.
Yeah, so there's the one that he's talking about right now, and I was gonna kind of bring that up because Matt, you're doing what I used to do. So now what I do, and it's revolutionized doing all of my content creation, all of my courses, everything that I'm doing long form, is instead of trying to like time up reading reading your phone fast enough or keeping up with it, all of that. Well, now what we do is we set up the camera that's in the right position so it looks proper, and we have you just read completely off a script, so your eyes can be focused on the script. And you sound perfect because all you're doing is reading. You're not trying to keep up. You're not trying to, and then you put it in the AI program, which is Captions. I'll send you the link. And it changes it, makes it so your eyes are looking where they should be looking. My guys, this has changed like all of my courses, all of the classes that I'm teaching, all of that, where it used to be just so hard to figure out how to look at the camera and then look at the script and then simple. Computers, AI, it's all changed everything. The link is Captions.ai.
Does it cost money?
What is it? What is it? Lurch, how much are you using it yet? Captions? It's not very expensive.
I'm getting it right
$9
now.
a month, maybe.
Oh, Opus? The
Opus, I know what
$9.50.
you're using. Captions.
So do you need Captions or do you need Opus? What do you need?
Well, they do different things. Captions will make it so that you're always looking at the camera. It uses AI. It also puts captions on there. Opus will take a 2-hour or an hour-long clip, and it'll break it into little sections so you can post constantly. So they're kind of like, let's say, a hammer and a wrench. They're different tools, but they're both used so that you're not having to redo stuff as much. I'm trying to get the pricing on this, you guys. Sorry, give me 1 second. It's $9 a month. So Captions is $9 a month. Opus is $9 a month.
Cameron, is it that purple one right there?
That's it. Yep. Captions. Captions.ai is. Yep. That looks like it. Yep. So this is the cool stuff. I love this stuff, you guys, because I've spent so many hours recording and doing all this, man. And I know the pain points that you will all go through when you guys start doing it, because it looks silly when you're looking down at the corner and then boom, and then you're not looking in the right spot. Well, everyone goes through this. So they fixed it. It literally, like right now, I mean, I go through the same thing when I'm on Zoom because I want to see everyone's beautiful faces. I'm not looking right up here at the camera like I should be. And if you look at the camera, it's better. But I always want to see everyone's faces. I want to see everyone's reactions. That's the amazing part about all this. But let's get into today's topic because we've been
Are you
going
Cam,
around
are
a
you
bunch.
filming this right now? Are you
Am I filming in the studio? Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Filming.
This is where this.
are you filming?
Yeah, of course. I'm filming. I always film. All of these I record so we can recut them up using Opus. Is that what you're meaning?
Okay.
I'm going to start.
Because he's now a radio star, right? So he has to have a signed NDA that you will not use any of this material content.
Oh, that's funny.
That's when you're a radio star. All right, let's get into today's topic: how to overcome objections when it comes to concessions, aka commissions, aka professional fees. I still refer to it as professional fees, you guys, because we're professionals. We're not in a job, we're in a profession. So I think that's one of the best tips I can give you when somebody says, oh, what are your commissions, which we're not allowed to use the C word anymore. You would say, my professional fees are this, or my professional fees are that. That's one of the best ways to approach this. Let's open it up with Cam because he's recording everything. So, and he's on AI. I don't even know if it's him. I don't know if it's him or if it's an AI avatar of him or whatever,
That captions does that too. It makes it doesn't matter. Anyways, cool stuff, you guys. Let's talk about overcoming the commission or the concession objections that we're having from sellers and buyers alike. I also use professional fee, Pete. I got that from you, and it's very efficient. Actually, here Monday, I had a seller that did the whole gambit. They were ready to hire me, and the very last thing they said is, well, the agent that just came out, they said they'd do it at 2.5. Would you be willing to discount your fee? And I said, to be totally upfront and honest with you, I don't discount my professional fee. But what I will do, and I kind of went on from there, and I guess I answer that. What I will do is that when we do receive an offer, and we are going to expect to be giving out some.
Yeah, can I interrupt you 1 second? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Of course, Pete.
Guys,
Go ahead.
Don't say I don't discount my professional fee, because discount is a positive. Say I don't reduce my services when it comes to my professional fee. All right? Reduce service. So when you hear people say, oh, I'm going to go with a discount broker that charges 0.5% or 1% or a flat rate, so something that's really interesting. I don't know how you're going to get what you want with a reduced service brokerage, because they cut out a lot of the marketing and services. And how are you going to expose your property globally and to get the highest price by paying the minimum amount? It doesn't work that way. There's an old saying that's true in this world. It's you get what you pay for. So would you make an investment of $5,000 to $10,000 to make an extra $100,000? Is that a wise investment? Would you do it to make an extra $50,000? Would you do it to make an extra $25,000? That's how you have to say it. By not doing that, by somebody reducing their services, it's not going to get you to where you want to go in the time period or in the price zone that you want to be. Okay, reduce services, not discount. Discount's a positive, reduce services is a negative. Just remember that. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to make
Pete,
that
no,
point.
thank you. Thank you for doing that, because that is huge. That is I'm going to use that too, just like I do with the professional fees. And I said I wouldn't discount my fee. And then I explained what I would do differently. Now, this was all set up though, just to real quickly. I know we got a great bunch of panelists on here I want to go through. This was set up though at the meeting when they asked, they blatantly asked, what would you be charging? And then what are we going to be offering, or do we have to offer? Can you explain that to me? Because they didn't know how the new law worked. And they did bring up during the listing presentation, because I was the last agent out, as you all should be for your listing presentations, that the other agent said that they would do it at a discounted rate. At the time during the listing presentation, I said, so they're willing to discount what they're going to make. How hard do you think they're really going to fight for your profit? And just sat there. And the wife, she's a sweetheart, and she laughed. And the husband was like, "Oh, I can." And I said, "If they're willing to take money out of their pocket, you think they're going to have any problem taking money out of your pocket?" And they, of course, said, "No, no, no." And fair enough, great. And that was how we handled it at the listing appointment. Now, a day later, they asked again. Of course they do, because good old sellers, we love them. But it was the exact same thing. And I used the wrong terms there. And I said I wouldn't discount my fee. And I think from now on, I'm going to be saying I won't reduce my professional fee. That way I can still give you everything that we offer. I know Dave Lawson has an incredible step-by-step program for this. But what I did here for this specific client, which has been working well for me, because everything here in Southwest Florida, the sellers are still traditionally offering some type of concession to the buyer's agent, or they're still offering something. We aren't. We're offering none, and then the buyer's agent can come and negotiate with us. What that does for me is that when I had this person bring it up again, that they would like me to reduce the fee or reduce my professional fee this trip, I said, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not what I do. But what I will do for you, so that you're happy and so that we can move on from this objection, is that when we do receive the best offer that we're going to go to work with, and we receive all of their terms, I'm going to do everything I can to reduce the outgoing concession to that agent by 0.5%. It's going to make it so that you're ending up paying the exact same amount as if I were to take 0.5% less. Is that fair? Her reply 30 seconds later, "That's fair. Come on out. We got it all signed." Boom, moved on. So with what I am doing here, and again, I'm excited to hear about everyone, what you guys are doing, but what I am doing for the objections from sellers is I'm making sure they understand how the outgoing concessions work. And then I'm really leaning into the fact that I say I'm gonna beat them on the knees. I'm gonna beat them on the knees and beat them up. And that's how we're gonna save you even more than just the sales price that I'm going to get for you. So I'm going to get it from both sides. You're going to save some over here. You're going to make some from over here. What are you waiting on? Let's get started today.
I love that. That's great. The other thing I would add to that, you guys, and I'm not trying to take all the time here today, but these points come to me, and this is what I use. So just ask them, say, "Hey, that's really interesting that you would go with somebody who's not only going to, reduce their marketing, and what they're going to do is they're not going to come in with the things that you want, right? So in order for you to get the highest price, you can't go with a reduced service brokerage. The reason being because it doesn't add up. And just like they can't even protect their professional fees, how are they going to protect your equity? So how much of your equity are you willing to give up and reduce in order to make a transaction? Because they're already showing you their true colors. They're a reduced service brokerage, right? They're otherwise known as an RSB, we call it in the industry. That's why they do less than 0.5% of all the business. And if it worked well, everybody else would be using it, even me. Don't you agree? Yes, I agree. So do you want somebody who's the strongest at marketing, at servicing you, at negotiations, to protect your equity? If I ripped open my shirt right now, there's a big E on my chest, because I'm here to protect your equity and get the most equity out of your house. Those are the types of things you want to say when you're in there. That resonates with sellers, you guys, okay? So don't, and I'm not using, Cam didn't do anything wrong. I'm just making suggestions here. Don't use discount. That's a positive. Reduce service, that's a negative. Anytime somebody is reducing service, don't say reduce, but reduce service, right? That's a negative, and that's how you want to do that. Okay, let's go on to Ross the Boss Stout. He's in a black shirt today, you guys. He's like the Johnny Cash of the desert. Now he made a move into San Diego. He's all over the place. Ross, so how do you overcome sellers' objections when it comes to the professional fees and the concession amount?
Awesome. Well, we've been doing a lot of courses on this, and I've been doing a lot of learning, and especially, from the guys on this panel, it's been fantastic over the last year, just kind of socking away this knowledge. And there's so many ways I think you can combat this. And I think that relationship on the front end is my biggest strength. I think if you give them the opportunity to know you, like you, and trust you, that's when the fee kind of becomes irrelevant. Because, let's face it, 0.5% on a luxury listing, and even more so on a property sub 500,000, if you're listing that, 0.5% is not going to make or break a sale. In fact, you're going to be able to display to them what your true value is on your offerings. So for me, it's all about displaying your offering. If somebody it's just like for me, it's just like if a buyer calls and it calls you and asks, hey, can you tell me about the carpet on this house? Like, oh, well, I can't wait to show you that at the property. You're always deflecting to get to what you want, which is a solid face-to-face appointment. So with the buyer side, on the seller side, if somebody's going to ask me about my professional fees, it's going to be, oh, well, I can't wait to show you how I've made so many of my clients successful. And I'm not even going to address it until the end of my presentation when I've shown them all of our products that we're going to be displaying to them with luxury, with our Zillow showcase, with our online presence, with our Facebook ads, specified for their specific property, what our team is doing in the market to get buyers and procure an in-house deal for them so that we can control both sides. These are the things that we want to spend an enormous amount of time on and not gloss over, so that when we go to them and we show them that we're asking for 4% for all of these fees, they feel like they're getting a bargain at 3%. So you need to sit in it. Like Cam was saying, I'm going to make a point and I'm going to sit there. I'm going to show you what my value is, because to be honest, if you're putting together a great value package, no one's going to hold a candle to you. The people that they're interviewing are friends. You are the one that's coming in as a professional in the market, and you get to show them why you're the dominant agent and not just leaning on what kind of crumbs your buddies can throw you. And that's why they're in that appointment. So for me, go through it. Show them what that luxury platform does for them. That would cost like $5,000 per listing. You get it for just a couple thousand per year. Show them what Zillow Showcase does for them and sets them apart on that platform, because 96% of buyers start their home search online. Show them your online presence and how you dominate there, and then sit in it. Don't gloss over it. Really make the points. Take your time. We're not there to be fast talkers and hit and get to the price point of what you're going to get paid. We're going to show them exactly what we're going to do and why we deserve every penny we get. So when it comes to the fee, they feel like they're going to get someone who's doing the best job for them. And then they're not worried about the price point, in my opinion. However, objections are always going to be there, right? Well, can you do it for 2.5? It's like, wow, well, what I'm offering you, did anyone else who's offering you 2.5% bring you this value? I'd be happy to let you list with them, and then I'll come after they don't sell it for you, after you're taking a bath on the house. Those are okay. You can pull the takeaway. It's always okay to stand firm on what you're doing, because you are going to spend money. You're going to spend time, and you got to make it worth it, because the allocation of resources, especially your time, is too great to be a knockoff broker, because those are the people that just get a contract, put it on the MLS, and sit on it until they get their own buyer, which is going to take 120 days, and then they're going to sell it at a 10% discount so they can double in both sides. That's who we are not going to be. We're into giving excellent service and lifting our clients up and giving them the best opportunity to get the best return on the largest investment of their life, probably.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you have to look at it as an investment. At that point, you guys, they're releasing the house, they're detaching from the house, but what they don't want to release and detach is their equity, right? Keep talking about how important the equity part of this is to them. And Ross made a good point. Show them, selling isn't telling. Selling is showing. Show them where you're marketing. And if they keep kind of hammering you, oh, well, somebody else said they would do it for 2%. Okay, well, let's compare apples to apples, not apples to grapefruits. And what are they doing? Are they doing all these things that I'm doing, where I'm putting it in 80 publications around the globe every month that costs us money, that is going to give your property massive exposure on a grand scale? Are they doing all these social media campaigns? Are they doing all these professional campaigns with all the other top professionals in the business? Are they reaching out to other top agents? Do they have those types of relationships? What do you want me to cut out? And I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't advise you to cut anything out if you want to get top money. So what's the most important thing to you? And they're going to say, getting the most out of the transaction, because it's not what you ask, it's what you net. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And that's
then
what I would say.
Show them what you've done also. You want to show them.
Exactly.
So bring out your case studies of how you've implemented your marketing campaign and let the results speak for themselves. And if it's your first listing, grab somebody else that's on the same program that you are, a team lead or a strong agent there in your office, and ask them if you can use their listing as a case study, just so you can show that the proof is in the pudding, and this is what you get when you list with someone like me.
Yeah, I mean, you want to definitely lead with stories, you guys, because you want stories that are relatable, where they can see themselves in that other person's shoes, because that's really what they want, you know? So you can tell a story like I had one the other day where somebody made a low offer, and I said, look, it's the opening of a conversation. And the seller said, well, I don't even want to counter. I said, I appreciate where you come from, but if you don't counter, then you're slamming the door in their face. They're not going to walk through the door and buy the house. So they countered they took like 50 grand off the actual price. And I didn't argue with them. I didn't try to convince them otherwise. I just went to work. And in 24 hours, I moved that buyer up $1.3 million, which is a huge jump. And when something like that happens, it netted my sellers a lot more money than they expected. So they really won on the equity based on my marketing, my service, and my negotiating. So are you willing to risk that with somebody who doesn't have as much experience and maybe looks at or writes or negotiates, 3 to 5 contracts a year, when we're doing that per month? Who do you want to have on your side? So let's go over to Gary Massa. He doesn't own, I just want to clarify this, he does not own a tortilla chip company online. He is a real estate broker in Southern California. Massa, tell me how do you overcome objections when it comes to concessions, formerly known as commissions? It's now a symbol, right? And how do you overcome those objections with your sellers when they say everybody else is offering me, 4% total, 3.5% total? How do you get 5-6%?
Yeah, no, great question. And again, I have to say that Cam and Ross did a great job of explaining that. Like, that's basically my systems and the conversations and dialogues that I go through as well. The points that I'll reiterate a couple of points, and I want to flip the script a little bit onto like the buyer side, because we're talking about listing from the seller side. But the points that both Cam and Ross made was having your value propositions prepared and going through the whole process. You can't shortcut this. Like getting establishing your value and getting your professional fees and with upholding them is an entire process. And if you don't go through all of it and you skip steps, the sellers are going to miss it, or your buyers are going to miss it. And it's just going to bring those questions of, discounting or what were you calling it? Removing value, basically. But when you go through it appropriately, it should be like a natural progression that they want to agree with, right? You mentioned a couple of things, like the takeaway close always works really well. You want them to ask you for the services that they want. I think also, just to add on to that, is understanding what your sellers and or buyers are looking for, what their goals are, so you know how to cater or kind of tweak your value proposition to what their needs are specifically. So it's all falling in alignment. The other piece that I also want to reiterate is the compartmentalizing of the professional fees. There's the listing fees, and there's also, the buyer agents that's going to be requesting that, and how are you going to handle both? Cam touched on that as well. But I think that part has, we've had a lot of success in just compartmentalizing that. Like, here are my fees and here's my values. Here's what may be coming from the buyer agent request, and here's how we're going to handle that. And we have the opportunity, because of my negotiation skills, to be able to cut that fee. And that brings a lot of hope, in the discussion for the clients. And I found that the sellers have been less focused on my professional fees and more so what I can do later on in terms of, not only getting the highest price, but protecting that price through negotiation, through, the repair request negotiations, the buyer, professional fee request negotiations, etc. But the other thing too, just to think about is, like from the buyer being the buyer agent side, it's also just as important not to skip the steps, have your value propositions ready and be able to negotiate that 3% fee up front. So you have the opportunity to negotiate that as much as possible through the process when you're making those offers. Be able to prepare, and maybe not everybody has this value proposition or presentation available, but what is it that you're presenting to the other agent? So I'm a buyer's agent. I'm presenting an offer. I'm presenting an offer to Cam, and I need to go and build my value to the listing agent on my value. Like we've been presenting, or our team's been presenting 3%, professional fees on all of our offers. And I want to say all but one has been accepted at 3%. I think we've done a great job of explaining our value to the listing agent of, here's my track record. I'm not inexperienced in the area. I can help, keep control of my client. Here's the process of how we work. So there's a value proposition that you need to be prepared for to present that to the other agent. And if you're not practicing that dialogue in your script practicing, I would encourage you to add that piece, because that's just as important from that buyer side. And one other objection that I've heard more recently from a buyer who is a seller and now going to buy, that I just wanted to get out there. I wasn't prepared for this. I mean, I was able to speak through it, but it wasn't something that I prepared for. So when you're explaining to the seller, here's our professional fees for the listing side. There's the buyer side. You don't have to pay anything, right? We go through that whole conversation because we're required to, but here's what to expect. And so preparing them for that request, with how that's going to impact their net on the, overall. But then when they go to buy, the question was, well, what if I get shut down on, my buyer, on, the buyer agent professional fee on the request through the listing? So I had to go through like how we negotiate that for our buyer clients and show that value as well and help them understand, because the concern was, well, am I going to agree to pay 6% on my listing as well as then have to pay 3% on the buy side if I get shut down on that aspect? And I'm paying now 9% for the total transaction. And that number seems a little scary, right? And so anyways, I think having a value proposition and or presentation on how you're going to address that objection is also going to be important, because if you haven't already had it, it's coming with a lot of the buyers that are going to, or sellers that are going to also be buying on that other side. So be able to address those points all the way through. Hope that all makes sense. I know I talk a little fast.
Gary, do you have something you put in the chat that handles those types of objections that you can share with us?
I haven't written it out, but I'm happy to do so, and I'll share it on the next one.
That'd be awesome. That'd be great.
Like the dialogue that I went through.
Yeah, I love that, because I think that will happen. You're going to see this year, you guys, a lot of people are going to have to sell in order to buy, and they're going to try to negotiate a 2-for-1 in some kind of, this is where it's a discount, right? And you have to explain to them how the whole process works, because it's unfamiliar to most of the people. They're in unfamiliar territory. So you have to do a really good job at breaking it down in simple terms. Remember, explain to people on a 3rd grade level. Don't complicate it. 3rd grade level. So just imagine you're talking to me all day long. 3rd grade level. That's it.
One more piece to that point that I was going to bring up is, you guys are familiar with the term breaking it down to the ridiculous, right? Like somebody asks you for a 0.5%, discount, if you will. When you actually do the math on how much money that actually means to get the upgraded service, the upgraded marketing, etc., the amount is going to look really small. But when they're talking about percentages, they don't even know how much money they're talking about. They just want to feel like they're getting a discount, you know what I mean? Or they're getting a good deal. So when you're able to break down that math and show them like directly, here's all the, maybe it's an extra $5,000, 10,000, whatever that is, versus what you're going to lose and how much more we can get for you in the long run. Breaking that down to the ridiculous has been really important in being successful on that.
Love that. Okay, we're going to go over to our powerhouse agent team in the great state of Georgia. David Johnson, He's part of our organization at EXP, you guys. He puts up huge numbers every year. He's very, very strategic. He's very diligent with his schedule, and he always takes full concessions, full professional fees. So David, share with us, when you go into listings, how are you getting the fees you want? How are you overcoming the objections when they're challenging your professional fees and the amount they have to pay?
Hey, Pete, I think that's a great question. The first thing that I do, honestly, is once they call me or I try to call them for expires or anything, I make sure I'm the last one there. It was something that you said. And I actually learned that early on because with me being the first one there, I don't really understand what the competition is. And then there's less of a chance for a seller to call you back. And I think it's about 30 to 40% chance if I'm the first one in the door. So I always try to make sure I'm the last one. And here I do things a little bit different from most people. So I never present everything on the first appointment. I always do 2 separate appointments. And I kind of use that as my first speech when I walk through the door to say, hey, I can be like every other broker you've seen, every other real estate agent that walk in here. But honestly, I haven't seen your house and I haven't seen what it's worth. And we didn't even have the conversation to meet because, again, I don't know if you are going to be the perfect client for me to help. And I always use that because I want them to think that I don't really need them, that they need me more than all these other agents, because a lot of agents are going to be begging for a listing. And I try to, show them emphasis that it doesn't really matter to me if you use me or not, but I got to make sure that you're going to be a right fit on my side too. So that way I can represent you to the best of my ability. So most of the time, that first appointment for me is just about building that relationship, trying to understand them. I'm trying to position myself in the house and different points of views to show that I'm in charge and not they're in charge. And then once the fee starts to get brought up, I pretty much do the same thing that you said. But whenever they ask me about that, I say, I 100% understand and I agree that you're always trying to find the best deal. But finding the best deal doesn't mean finding the best value. So that's something that you have to decide on what you want to do, because the services that I bring to the table are going to be different. And I don't sell 300 homes throughout the year just because I'm walking in the door and I'm basically lowering all my services that I'm going to be actually providing to you. And the services that I am going to be providing to you is that I've actually done research on the markets, on the homes that the people that are coming here. I know the states. And what I want you to do is, before we meet the second time, I want you to call each and every one of the agents you interviewed and ask them where a buyer's coming from. And then what I would do is I would list off, there's 13 states that always come here to the Savannah, Georgia area. And I start naming off every single one of these states. And then once I start naming these off, like, their eyes get big and they're like, wow, that's kind of crazy. That's good. And then I ask them, I said, I want you to ask them too if they heard what geofencing is. If they don't know what geofencing is, if they don't know how to run LSA ads or Google local service ads, then from that point, I want you to understand, do they really know what marketing is? Because as you know, anybody can put a house on Zillow, and most agents will listen in the MLS and it'll pop up on Zillow. But how are they bringing the buyers in? And out of those 300 transactions I've done, 75% of them are on the buying side. And then generally the house that I go to, I print off the MLS sheets so they can show that one of the agents on my team have sold that house. And this is the other talking piece, is that I'm not just selling your house. I'm actually looking for the buyers. I'm not just putting the house up. So what you're getting from me is we have a whole entire team that's looking for buyers every single day. We're calling it expireds. We're looking for every opportunity as we can. And I have a huge influence on the military over here. So that way I know the buyers that are going to be coming in. I know when they're going to come in because I served for over 10 years. So trust me, I understand what everybody is going to be doing when they come in here. And then I just explain all that stuff to them. Sorry. So I kind of explain that stuff to them in a way to where I'm helping them understand that, hey, these are the services I am. And I guarantee every agent walked in here and gave you a price. So if you want to go with somebody that's going to do a 1% fee because Redfin is huge here, I totally understand that. But honestly, for me, I know how valuable my time is. So if you want somebody that doesn't value their time, then by all means, I want you to call whoever you think is going to fit you the best. But I know that I'll get the job done because I'm the one that comes in after everybody else already screws up. And then I kind of, try to use like how you hire a GC in the area and say that there's no way that you can get a really great service, have really great time, and have your house sell quick. You really have to choose which one's most important to you. And if you want to save the most money, then you're not going to get it sold quick. So which one is most important to y'all right now?
Love that. Love that. Just very direct, straight to the point.
And I think the other objection that I get a lot here is, well, if I'm going to buy a house with you, are you going to change your fee? Because I know that you're going to be making money on the buy side and on the sell side. I don't really get people, kind of worried about the fee that they may have to pay if they're the buyer. And, I just kind of approach them in a way of, I think that's a really great question that you asked me. And then the best way that I can explain it is that if I try to put two jobs into one, I can't fully service you. My job when I come up here is to exclusively only represent you on the selling side. And then I'm going to have somebody else that only focuses on the buy side. So that way I can make sure that you're represented to the best of your ability. Now, whenever you're on the buy side, my job is to review everything and to check the contracts out to make sure that the offer that you're putting in is the best offer that you can get. My job is not to show you homes. It's to make sure that we're getting the best deal for you right now.
Yeah, I love that. That's good. That's great stuff, because I think a lot of people, as I just stated, are going to get those objections this year where people are going to have to sell something to buy something. I do feel that's going to be a big piece of this market. That's great stuff. DJ's killing it out there, you guys. If you have any referrals for Georgia, send them to Dave Johnson. He'll take care of them. He is the guy. He's organized like a military combat mission to take a beachhead. He's taken the whole beachhead of Georgia. That's what he's doing. All right. Great stuff, DJ. Thanks for being on. Let's go over to our rose between amongst all the thorns. Let's go to Corinna. And Corinna, what are you seeing? How are you overcoming objections when you're going on listings?
Okay, well, right now it's too cold to leave my house. In Florida, it's 42 degrees. There was snow in the Panhandle on the beach. And you want to talk about listings? I'm just kidding. So it is cold though. So anyone in Florida, David Larson, you're used to the cold and the snow. I did that once in Minnesota, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, but I'm a Florida girl. So I'm with Cam. We're probably both the coldest on the panel today. So, all right. So first of all, I've noticed that we are selling to be able to go buy. I have many listings under contract, and every one of them has to go by. So this conversation's right on point. And if it's not happening in your market, I'm sure it's on its way. But a lot of people are confused, or they've heard something in passing about something with the real estate. So right now, it's really important to show that you are an industry expert in your field. You're a professional realtor or broker, whatever your position is. But we are the professionals. We've been trained on this for months, right? If not almost a year. So I have found that I've always report build first when I walk in the door. That's the most important thing. If you want to win on your first walk in on that listing, rapport build. And when you're rapport building, you're sharing stories about other listings that you've had in the past and things that have happened with their buyers, because you obviously want to then sell them a house. You know that they're going to be going to the next house in your area. And if not, then you're picking up a referral, right? So no matter what, you need to rapport build. And the more rapport building you do, the more they realize very quickly that you really do know what you're talking about. So that is really, really important. And if you're a new agent, rapport build anyways, because they may actually want to give you your start. If you decide to tell them that you're a new agent, but you've been going through training, you're on a team, you're with this big company with over 90,000 agents, we have all sorts of ways of helping you get through that first several transactions. So rapport build is number one. Number two is educate them, because most people do not understand what has happened in our world. A lot of people don't realize that the insurance company on healthcare went through a big change last year. I didn't know. I don't follow that, right? That's not my industry. Yet I got a phone call from my healthcare rep and said, if I didn't re-sign up with my healthcare in September, then all independent contractors were going to have to keep renewing every 4 months. I didn't know that. Neither does our consumer really understand what's happening in our world, right? They're dentists, they're doctors, they're school teachers, they're plumbers, they're electricians. That maybe some of the people that are working within the real estate world might know a little bit more, but a lot of them they're just deer in the headlights. So educate, rapport build, and then show off your marketing activities. Last year we did one where I shared a menu of services. I've now condensed that menu of services instead of 3 things as to one big giant list. and I have no problem taking a 4% on the seller side because they realize nobody else is doing what I am doing. They realize nobody understands what a migration pattern is. Nobody's doing in my area a lot of things that I've been trained to do because I have several sales coaches, right? So if you don't have a sales coach, you should have at least one or two, because two will give you two different perspectives. The more you can afford, the more you're going to sell, because everybody comes to the table with different knowledge, right? So that's really important. But when you start showing your marketing activities, and I think that the last two had just spoken about that, and it's really important because a lot of people will come in and show you all these things on their, so their seller, all the different things that, you know, they're out on Zillow and realtor.com, and look, I do a couple little videos once in a while. That's not enough. I pull my social medias out, and I've already looked at every one of my links before I even get to the listing appointment. Why? I'm rapport building before I even get there. I want them to see what I'm doing. They're looking at my, you know, recommendations from past clients, and they're looking at all the happy people at closing. And so when I start talking about, this is what I learned, excuse me, from, it's the cold here in Florida. And so what I've learned is that the more they know you, the easier it is to get them to agree to sign with you. Now, on the flip side with the buyers, and I was really glad that Gary talked about the buyer side, and that is that you really have to talk to them about your knowledge, what you've done with other buyers, and have a list of things that you do for them. From talking to the buyer's agent, the listing agent, before you present an offer. That's really important. I want to know how many times are we playing ping pong ball, or are we going for like the national tournament of tennis with their negotiations? I prepare ahead of time. If you don't tell your clients what you're doing, we're no better than the Wizard of Oz behind the black curtain, right? We're like in the dark hole of no return. And my clients all say the same thing on every recommendation that they put out there. Karina communicates. She over communicates. Well, over communication is really great, especially before going into a listing, during the listing, after the listing, when you have a buyer, through the entire process. And look, it takes 2 seconds to text somebody, right? Hey, here's the update. What's going on? I just heard from so-and-so. If you explain that to them, that they will be in the know as fast as you're in the know, people want to know that because they've done other sales transactions, whether it's real estate or something else, and they're lost. They don't know what's happening. They get frustrated, right? We're not frustrated when we go through my transactions because everybody knows what's going on. So when you explain the communication process, and communication process is so important. I get these videos from these lenders every Friday. I can't call them to find out what's going on a transaction, but I get a video. I don't want to watch the video. Send me a point. Just text me back and be like, we're through underwriting. That's all I need to know, right? Don't make me wait till Friday. Our clients don't want that either. So the more you can communicate with them, not only will you have a great transaction, but they will come back to you over and over and over again. Most years, most of my referrals come from all of my past clients or people who knew my clients and had great had talked to them about it and come to me. So you can do this too, but that is the easiest way to win with the buyers, is show your value and rapport build with them. And before you sit down at that meeting, make sure they've already been surfing your links, because everybody wants to know a little bit more about you. So I have been teaching a lot of professionals how to use their cell phone and create their own contact card like you would for a client, and stop using these hi hellos and all these other ones, because nobody wants 15 different apps to download your stuff. If you can literally put everything you have on your B card, from your picture to your bio to your links to your social medias. If you're an Android, you can do it in the notes section. And you just make sure you click the little check up top that clicks everything down. They know my education. They know all the certifications I have. They know I'm a team leader. And guess what? That's now controlling the narrative, because if they go home and they say, hey, and they're talking to Uncle Bob in North Carolina, and he's like, wow, I don't know about this realtor. They go, oh no, Uncle Bob, check this out. And they're forwarding what I gave them in a V card. Now they're like, wow, this is your realtor. They're looking you up. Nobody's going to try to shoot you down when they have all that information on you. And everybody lives off their cell phones, right? We know that. So I have not lost anybody at all
Yeah, and
from doing this
that's
process.
That's an awesome point. And I'll just take it a little bit more and add it. And this is what I'm going to do today because I got this from somebody else. Instead of putting their name in there as their first name, they put in awesome realtor and then their name. And the reason being because the A's always come up first in people's things. So they'll remember that. Hey, who was that awesome realtor I use? Or who's the awesome realtor that I know? And then you put that in your V card, you guys. And like Corinna said, you can put everything in there and send it out to people. And they'll save it and it'll be at the top of their A's, right? Typically. And do it in
So for
bold.
that, Pete, I have what I've done for myself, because nobody can spell Karina Daninger, let alone say it twice, right?
I don't need to say it right.
So-
I would say Corinna. I apologize.
It's okay. I love you anyways. And so, so what I've done is instead of putting Karina Daninger, broker, associate, whatever, I put Karina Daninger, realtor. And then below that, I can put in all the credentials. So if they forget my name and they just type in realtor, I will pop up. And with my face and my picture always matches my social media pictures. So if my hair, women, our weight goes up, our weight goes down, our hair changes colors, our hair, whatever, goes hot, short or long, they will know that they're with the right person. So that way there's no confusion. Making it simple,
love
stupid.
that.
Yep.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
And
It's
now
so
what I've
great.
done with that B card is even better, because you're standing there talking to someone at the grocery store. I'm like, I'm out of business cards right now, but let me send you my B card. I get theirs. I put them in the phone and when off we go. I'm actually in the process of selling a church right now on the commercial side of things. And the gentleman had called me 2 years ago on a muffler shop that I had been selling. And I had put in there that he was looking for a used car lot. He called me up earlier this week, and we beat out another another buyer's agent out of the church. And when I told him I remembered him, that changed the whole conversation. And I think his wife's on here too, because she just got her license. So she'll be joining me over here at EXP soon.
I love that. That's awesome. All right. Karina did an awesome job. She gave a lot of good nuggets there, you guys. Everybody's killing it today. Let's move on to Dave Lawson, who's a huge, huge, huge agent in Park City. He's making deals on the slopes. He's skiing into people's houses. He's doing all types of stuff. Dave, you're a master at this. When people give you objections on your professional fees, and I love what Karina had to say too. I love how she said it's not concessions, it's compensation. Concessions come when sellers concede or give a concession to a buyer and vice versa, right? I love the compensation aspect of that. So how do you overcome the objections you're getting on your professional fees when other people are offering 1.5%, 2% on their professional fees? How are you constantly getting 3.5%, 4%?
Well, I was mostly prepared to talk about buyers, but obviously I do this all the time with sellers as well. So the first thing with any objection, I want you guys to change your mindset. When you get an objection, I want you to go, yes, I'm this close to getting a contract signed, instead of, oh crap, not another one of these. So here's my thing that I say with every objection, no matter what it is. Pete, I'm so glad you brought that up. And then I repeat back, oh, you want to talk about commissions? Okay. And then I say, so by the way, if you're on the phone and you're setting an appointment, you go, Pete, I'm so glad you brought that up. That'll be one of the first things we talk about when I meet you today at 4:00, right? And that puts them at ease. And it's also building rapport because you're agreeing with them, right? And gang, you have to know your scripts. And there's about 10 or 12 objections that you need to master in this business, buyers and sellers. And if there's only 12, you can ask me any objection that you want right now, and I can handle it really well. And it's because I practice it, right? So, so that's that. The other thing is I talk to people. I go, well, we have a very unique program, Pete. And when I come over, I'm going to show you the different options, and you're going to choose the commission that you want to pay. And we're going to go over that. How's that? And then I get in the door, because if you negotiate commissions before, or concessions, or professional fees, or whatever you want to say, if you negotiate them on the phone, you're going to reduce the amount of times you get in front of the client or seller, guaranteed, right? So, so then once I'm in the in the, I say it as soon as I get in the living room, but the vast majority of my actual listing presentations are on the phone or on Zoom, because everybody is where everybody on this panel lives. They're in San Diego, or they're in Philly, or they're in Florida, or they're in wherever, right? And then you get in, and then you want to build rapport. And there's 4 questions that I think. So we get in there, we look at the house, and then we're in the build rapport. And you want to ask questions about them. So Pete, tell me, what would selling this home mean to you? Okay, if somebody
It would
wants
mean
to
that
type these in the chat, I think that'd be good. So, what would selling this home mean to you? Second question, what is driving, Pete, I'm curious. What is driving you to sell? Okay. Pete, I was wondering, what are your ultimate goals for selling, and where would you go? And then the last one, I love this one. And Pete, how are you going to choose the agent you list with? If you get those 4 questions, they're giving you, you're playing a football game, and the play that they're running, and now you can defend it, right? And then what I do is, when I get there, then I open up, and I have 3 different options for the clients. I have Premier, Premier Plus, and Elite. And then I say, Pete, so here's Premier. This is what we do here for Premier. This is how many things we do for, I'll do it this way, for Premier Plus. And this is everything we do for Elite. And Pete, this is a $4.5 million home. So let's not talk about money for a minute. Out of these 3, which one would you like? And only 100% of the people say Elite, because that goes over everything that we do, right? And then you say, and then when they start about commissions, well, will you go to 5 or 4 or whatever they say? I say, well, Premier is 3%, Premier Plus is 3.5%, Elite is 4%. And then we're going to negotiate the amount that we charge on the other side with the buyers. And so those are some things that you do that really, really make a big difference. And then you have to have great materials. You have to have, I mean, this is our book, right? And here it is, defining success for you, right? Your home deserves a top performing agent. You have to be professional, and that's where we do it, right? So there's a lot more, but we're out of time. But the one thing I wanted to say with buyers, and I think we should, maybe next week we should just focus on buyers, because I've got some great stuff with that. We don't have time. But I'm looking at my under contract sheet right now. We have 33 properties under contract, and we have 1, 2, 3 properties at 2.5%. All the rest are at 3% or above. And I'd love to share with you guys how you do that, but we're out
I
of
love
time,
that.
and we always
Let's
try
do
to
that.
start now.
Let's do that next week. Matt, I'm going to give you the final minute, and I apologize giving you only 60 seconds, because I know you're not bragging, you're just applying for a job. But we'll start off next week with Matt and Dave, and we'll break down buyer objections and how to get through those to make sure you maximize the buyer contract at 3%. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, it's great that I'm following up after luxury Dave Lawson because I recently stole his Premier Plus and Elite and made up a very similar basically menu of services. And it's funny, I was calling a potential listing yesterday. I was texting him actually, and the guy said, "What do you charge services? What do you charge commission wise?" I'm noticing a lot of the agents that I've been meeting with, they all charge 2%. And I said, you know what? We have a marketing menu of services. And when we get together, you can pick exactly what you want. He said, oh, great. I didn't have to say, well, it's 2, it's 2.5, it's 3, whatever. So I think it's amazing to go with this. And I use that all the time now on listing appointments, what Dave does with the 3, 3.5, and 4. It used to be, I guess, Dave used to do 6, 6.5, and 7. But now it's 3, 3.5, and 4. It's only taken me 25 years to do this, guys. But
it took me that long to figure it out too. So don't feel bad, Matt.
Okay. But anyway, it's
We're a little
great because
slow.
people, yeah, I'm not dumb, but I might be stupid. But so I've implemented what Dave does, and I call it same thing. Why reinvent the wheel? Premier Plus, and Elite. It's 3, 3.5, and 4. And worst case scenario, I will give them the 4 at 3.5 or at 3, like I learned from Dave. But you never walk out of there. And I love what somebody said. I think maybe it was Gary. I don't know who it was, but to say if they're arguing with you over 0.5%, say, look, I'll do everything I can to get you that back on the buy side when a buyer comes in and makes an offer as far as concessions.
Yeah, and the other thing is, here's a sheet we have. This is Zillow Showcase. And so what I do, so you know what, I'll put that in the link. Well, we're going to run out of time.
Throw it in right now, Dave, or throw it in next week, and anything that you have, because we're over right now. So maybe we start off next week with this and then move on to buyer objections, okay?
You'll want to see that Zillow platform. Dave does a really good job with that. It's super powerful.
Yeah, let's do that next week.
Case. Okay, do you want to have 20% more likely to put your property under contract in 17 days? Do you want to get 2% more? I'm going to show you how through Zillow as an exclusive relationship I have with them. And this is getting us listings like crazy. We're putting every single, here, I'm going to put this so you can take a look. Every single listing that we're taking now, we're putting Zillow Showcase. And guess what? When there's a link or there's a button that says, I want to talk to the listing agent, and you don't pay a fee to Zillow for that. That's the biggest advantage. So I'll share with you guys that as well. But anyway, thanks, and sorry I ran over, Pete.
That's all right. It's a great topic. So we're going to do it. Great stuff. We're going to start off with Dave next week and Matt, and then we're going to go on to the buyer concession side. So make sure you guys invite people. This is super important. This could probably net you 5 to 10 extra transactions this year on the buyer side by handling those objections. And, I want to make sure that sometime in February, we get Dave on to show you how to take 100 listings a year. He's got an unbelievable course where we can do it, and Dave can have the floor for 45 minutes, and then we can take questions. So we're trying to do that once a month, where we bring in a featured speaker on production that you can put into action immediately to help your business. That's what we're trying to do, you guys. Last week, it was my friend Matt talking about how to save your money and manage your money and so forth. It's super important at the beginning of the year. Next week, we're going to talk about buyer objections. And then in February, we're going to have Dave on how to take 100 listings. Okay. Everybody have a great week. Stay positive, handle objections, pray for objections, communicate and ask for the order. Okay. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Hey guys. Cheers.